Okay, I like my setup against Jund. It's a pretty popular deck, so I wanted to make sure I had a lot of stuff that's good against it. Um, I'm gonna sideboard. Kitchen Finks is just great, and Refraction Trap actually does a lot. It protects against lightning bolts, and it protects against Jund Charm. And what do we take out? I could put in Bajuka Bog to help shrink his Tarmogoyfs when they happen, but I'd rather keep Tectonic Edge for the manlands, Moreland Han for the extra guys, and Sajiri Stab for saving things. So I'm going to put in these guys and take out. Let's see. Sword of War Piece isn't that good against him. Sword of Feast Manland absolutely is. And take out the Pride Mage. Sword of War Piece. Yeah, I like the setup. Alright, so let us get to the game. Okay, this is my opening hand. It's pretty solid. I don't like having 3 Birds of Paradise, but neither Reliquary is a big threat, and it definitely represents me getting it faster. This is a hand that's vulnerable to Inquisition of Kozilek, unfortunately, which I don't usually like keeping, but I can't imagine. I mean, shipping it here, the likelihood of having a better hand than this isn't that great, so we're going to keep it. And he doesn't have the turn 1 Inquisition, and I have an even better turn 3 or turn 2 drop. Anyway, so we will play. One thing to note is when you have a Knight of the Reliquary in your hand, you're playing against a deck that potentially has lightning bolts. It's really good to just use the fetch land as soon as possible. Like normally, it's fine to like play the shock land first, just so you're taking a little less damage. But I want to have 2 cards in the graveyard as soon as possible if I'm potentially playing a Knight of the Reliquary, because that puts it at 4 toughness, which is out of lightning bolt range, and that's extremely significant actually. We'll get a Temple Garden and we'll drop Bird and we'll pass the turn. Yeah, no turn 2 play, which is always good news for me. And I'll play that Breeding Pool. Geist is a better threat anyway, but it's an easy decision when I don't have the second card to put in the excuse me. When I don't have the second land to put in the graveyard, it's a really easy decision against a deck that has lightning bolts. I always want to run out Geist first in that position. Sometimes it's better to have the Knight, but you definitely don't want to do it until you have her at 4 toughness. So we'll play the Geist. And stop being grounds untapped. Let's take a wild guess here and say he's going to bolt the Bird and then play the Leona, kill the Geist. No, he's going to terminate the Bird and then drop the Leona, kill the Geist. Yeah. There we go. Thank God I draw like a pro and just get another guy. Actually, better draw probably would have been a land that doesn't come into play tapped, because I actually don't get to play the Geist here. But I will drop the Sajiri Stab and lay down some birds and pass the turn. Actually, probably should have just kept one of the birds in my hand. That was kind of dumb. So, okay. The situation here is there's 2 things that could happen. If I discard the Knight of the Reliquary and he doesn't have an Inquisition here, that means I'm stuck with 2 Geists in my hand, which is actually only 1 threat. If I discard the Geist here and he does have the Inquisition, he can nab the other Geist, which means my only threat is the Knight of the Reliquary, and Geist to St. Traps is just a much stronger threat here. So the situation... So the 2 downsides of the situation, the worst one is having only Knight as opposed to having 2 Geist. So I think I'm gonna drop the Knight here, because I would just rather, of the 2 worst case scenarios. I'd rather this worst case scenario. Alright, fake lands. I can drop the guys in trapped here. And you can go. Let's see what you got. Oh. Alright, I'm gonna turn Lightning Bolt. I kind of thought he might just have a Maelstrom Pulse to kill both the bolts and then make me sack the Geist, but I guess he probably has 2 removal spells. He's spending a lot of removal on cards that aren't very good, like bolting up Birds of Paradise this late in the game isn't pretty good, but I guess Geist of St. Traps is a big enough threat that it's legitimate to want to do that. The big thing I have going for me here, though, is he spends 2 removal on these Birds of Paradise, and then he activates the Liliana to make me sack the Geist. I actually have a Misty Rainforest up, which represents Dryad Arbor from my deck, which I can sack instead, and that's actually way better. So hopefully that's actually what happens. He spends removal on a bird, and then sacks his Liliana in order to just kill a Dryad Arbor, and I'm in a pretty good position after that. So yeah, okay, he's got a Dark Confidant, Blood Grip. So he didn't have another removal spell yet. I don't think I agree with killing the bird there if you don't have the second removal. He kind of was just hoping he had it. He definitely had enough, or he's hoping he'd draw it, but he had enough mana to play everything out anyway in case he didn't, and he's in a lot worse position now. They used the Lightning Bolt for essentially no reason. Wow. I don't agree with that play at all. If he +1s here, he +1s here, he doesn't discard anything, and I lose Geist of Saint Trap from my hand. I mean, he doesn't know I have that, but he knows I have something in my hand that it's just way more value. But minus in Liliana here means he loses Liliana for sure, and like at best gets a Birds of Paradise out of the way for it. He would have been way, way, way better off +1ing here. He just string of plays that he's been doing that I don't really get. But anyway, my options here are to sack the bird or sack a Dryad Arbor. Dryad Arbor is a creature that can attack, but I think I'd rather have the bird. Yeah, I'd rather the bird in case I draw a sword, which means I can fly in and attack him. Normally I'd get rid of the bird, but I think it's just better this way. So I'm going to search for Dryad Arbor and sack that. Sweet. I told you, I'm so good at drawing, evidently. In case you're not seeing it, Noble Hierarch means Exalted, which means he can't even trade Dark Confidant for the Geist of St. Traft. That's really good. So we will attack. Yeah, I'm just not going to block. Maybe he'll reveal an 8-cost spell. The bust is pretty good. Actually, it can kill the angel, which is just like it saves him a ton of life here. That's a pretty good draw for him, because he can now block the Treetop Village to trade with the Geist, keep his Dark Confidant, and he has enough mana to also kill the Angel token if he so chose, to make sure he doesn't fall to... Yeah. Because he doesn't want to be at 2, because there's a lot of things in his deck that could kill him with the Dark Confidant. So he can kill the Angel token here, he can trade with the Geist, and he's in a pretty good spot. That was a really good draw for him, though. Okay. He's tapping the Treetop Village. What do you got? Okay, that makes more sense. Kitchen Finks is even better than Treetop Village here. Okay, Moorland Haunt is pretty good. I'm going to attack with the Geist simply because I have another Geist here. I want to keep applying pressure. If he wasn't at such a low life, I don't think I'd want to just trade off for half a kitchen finks. But it's worth it in this situation simply because I have another Geist of Saint Trapped in my hand. So I'm going to attack. See if he probably won't combust now that he's at 8. Yeah, but he definitely trades the Geist. Yeah, puts himself up at 6. And I'm just going to play out the rest of my hand here. Pass the turn. Ancient Grudge. Glad I took out my swords except for that one. It's probably a dead card for him. He's attacking with those two. Okay, I get him attacking the Dark Confidant. He's at low enough life that he really doesn't. He wants the Dark Confidant to die. I think if I was him, I'd rather keep the kitchen things up as a blocker. But I mean, I guess he's just going to rely on the Treetop Village. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let the Dark Confidant get through. I want that to survive because it represents him, like, killing himself. But I'm going to make a token with a Moreland Haunt and then just block the Kitchen Finks to get that out of the way. That way he only has a Treetop Village to block the guys that ain't trapped. Jun Charm. That was good. That is actually a pretty good play by him. I should have saw that coming. I'm I'm not in a bad position. He actually has. If things stay on the board the way they are, like if I only draw deck cards, he actually has the win because the Treetop Village can outrace me in this position because of the combust. It outraces the potential Moreland Haunt tokens, but if I draw like anything, I'm still okay. That's not anything. So we'll pass the turn. We'll make a. Yeah, we'll take that. Make a Moreland Haunt token. End of turn. That is another incredible top deck for me. I'm like running awesome top decks here. Okay, just attack the Spirit. Pass the turn. He's gonna attack the treetop. I can just kill it. Just kill with the path. Yeah. Path it. See if he has anything else. He doesn't, so we'll make another token. And we draw an Elspeth like freaking champions. Okay. Now he's not dead because we know he has the combust in his hand. So my options here are to just make a guy and attack for 2. In which case he probably doesn't use the combust yet, or I can pump up 1 and just force him to use the combust. I think I want to do that. It's not. I'm not sure if that's the absolute right play, but I think I want to make him just have to use the combust in his hand. So I'm gonna pump Spirit, swim both of them. Yeah, he combusts. I guess this position, a Blood Braid off the top with a Lightning Ball or a Maelstrom Pulse is really good for him. Though I think he still might be dead if that happens. So I'm still in a really good spot. Even like his best case scenario doesn't guarantee him a win. And drawing nothing definitely doesn't help him at all. So I'm just going to make a soldier. Now, the reason I made a soldier here instead of just pumping is I'm playing really conservatively. If I just pumped and attacked and he doesn't have anything, he's just dead. But I think that it's more likely he has at least one more card here to interact with something, and I'd rather have an extra guy in that situation. So I'm taking the path that means I can't. There's no way I can kill him this turn. But also, if he does have like any piece of removal, I'm in a better spot by doing this instead of just going all in on 1 Spirit. This way, next turn I have 3 possible attackers, and he's he's probably just dead next turn, like for sure, as opposed to maybe this turn and having opportunity to draw really well off it. So we'll tackle the spirit and put him to 1. And he didn't have anything. Okay. Well, Jun's not a great matchup. It's okay. Like it's pretty draw dependent, but I definitely think he had opportunities to win each of these games. I drew really well, but he made some odd choices. But I mean, that's the way it goes, I guess. So we're gonna end this, and we're going to go to the finals of this modern daily.